the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee to order on Tuesday, December 16th at 5 p.m. At this point, would anyone identify any potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none. Citizens' comments? Seeing no citizens' comments. The consent agenda, minutes of the December 2nd, 2025 meeting, bills and payroll.
Move to approve. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? No one opposed. Request to recommend council approval of budget resolution number 252025, changes to the 2025 budget presented by Jennifer Zelensky, Finance Director.
Good evening. The general fund, or the city makes general fund appropriations at the major expenditure level, program level in its annual budget. This major expenditure program level includes general government, public works, public safety, health and human services, culture and rec, conservation and development, and other financing uses. An amendment to the budget utilizing the general fund contingency also requires a budget resolution. All other funds are budgeted at the total expense level. Items in violation of the budgetary level of control are disclosed in the footnotes to the audited financial statements. So we can think of this budget resolution as kind of a cleanup activity where things have happened throughout the year that we didn't anticipate. For example, we've earned more revenue in certain funds, and that necessitates spending more money, which we also didn't budget. So it's a relationship both on the revenue and expense side. The first item on the list would be for our room tax fund. The city imposes and collects a room tax for hotel and short-term rentals, and 70% of that tax revenue is then remitted to our tourism commission, and 30% is transferred to the Parks and Rec capital outlay fund. Collections exceeded the 2025 budgeted amount, and I'm recommending an increase in the room tax fund professional services account of $70,000 and transfer to capital projects fund of $30,000 because we have realized more revenue collection in the form of taxes than we thought. So we have to pay out more than we thought. The second item on the list refers to a lot that we had to repurchase in our Daniels subdivision. This is outlined in the development agreement. However, we didn't budget for that in 2025. We do have a restricted reserve in the Economic Development Fund established specifically for this purpose. And so I am recommending an increase in the Economic Development Fund land account of $40,915. Third, at the time of the 2025 budget being prepared, expenditures related to the 2025 borrowing and investment account management fees weren't known. Proceeds from the issuance are used to pay for these expenditures, and investment revenue is used to pay for the management fees. So therefore, I'm recommending an increase to the debt service fund fiscal agent charges account of $105,000. Fourth, the city's tax increment district number 5 was closed. The remaining debt services payments are being paid from the debt service fund, and the residual balance in the TID was transferred to the debt service fund. However, at the time the budget was made, I had anticipated making those payments out of TID 5. So we'll need to transfer the money in order to match where the expenses are actually paid. So therefore, I'm recommending an increase to the debt service fund principal account of $40,000 and the interest account of $3,564. And lastly, the city began construction of infrastructure in TID 13 in 2024. We fully budgeted the amount of the project in 2024. However, the project led into 2025 as well. So we didn't budget for those construction costs in 25, so it looks lopsided in our general ledger. Additionally, there were financial incentives agreed upon in the development agreement in the TID but they weren't budgeted as payment timing and amounts were uncertain. The funding source for the incentive is rebates in the amount of $95,664. And I'm recommending an increase in TID 13 repairs and maintenance services account of $380,000 to accommodate for that construction that actually occurred in 2025 and financial incentives of $96,664. So with that, I would recommend approval of Budget Resolution 25-2025.
Recommended action is to approve. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Giles,
Second.
second by Spiros. Any discussion? Mike?
Thank you. I'm just wondering if you could go through the first two items on there again. I was a little confused with, one was how we exceeded the room tax and reallocating 30,000 of it. What's happening to the other 40,000? Or I'm not quite understanding what you're doing there.
Sure. So I don't have it in front of me, but let's just say we budgeted $500,000 for room tax. 70% of that would be budgeted in professional services to be paid to the tourism entity. 30,000 would be budgeted as a transfer to the Parks and Rec capital improvement fund. Let's say in this example, we actually received $600,000, but I didn't budget an amount for that extra $100,000. This budget resolution would do that. Of that extra $100,000 of unanticipated revenue, 70% will go to professional services to be paid to the tourism entity, and then an additional 30% will be transferred to the capital improvement.
Perfect. Thank you for explaining. And then item number 2, if you could just run through that one again. That one seemed a little odd to me too.
Sure. So the city sells lots in its own subdivision. As part of those agreements, if the developer, for whatever reason, backs out of the transaction, the city buys the lot back. We have set aside, based on the number of lots sold without development on them, we've set an allowance for that amount aside in the Economic Development Fund, but we didn't budget it because we didn't anticipate any developers actually backing out of those agreements. We did have one in 2025, so I'm just asking to use that money that we had set aside for the purpose and put it in an expense account for that payment.
Okay. Didn't we have a hold on that money to pay it back, if I remember right? So in the economic development?
Right, we have a reserve set aside.
So is that going to go away then?
It'll get reduced and recalculated based on, I think we'll now have potentially 2 or 3 lots that we have sold that don't have any development on them. So according to those agreements, whatever it is for the buyback, then we would set that money aside for future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion on the item? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving budget resolution number 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Request to recommend council approval of resolution number 2025-39, adopting the city's 2025 fee schedule, presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you. Well, last time we were together, we went through some fees just in the finance area. That was for pet licenses, and that was based upon the charges being increased by both Wood County and Marathon County for pet licenses. And of course, we figured that into the fees we charge in total. But every year we do a resolution where we approve all the fee increases. We look at what other communities around us are charging. We also look at covering our hard costs. In other words, are we making sure that we're made whole for all the things we expend, like putting notices in the paper and some of those printing and mailing costs, so that we're not losing money. We're not in it to make money, but we want to make sure that we cover our costs reasonably. So anyway, this is for the rest of the different categories that we charge fees for. It's a schedule that we keep updated. I want to thank the clerk's office that came up with an idea. You don't see it here in your packet, but there will be a table of contents so that citizens and contractors can look without going through all the fees from things that they don't care about. They can get to the page where they see what they want to see for those particular charges and whether or not they've been increased. So if you flip into about 4 pages into the resolution in the red line, you'll see after billing services, there's no building inspection fees increasing or changing in any way. The first ones you'll see are at the top of a page where it shows Plan Commission Review. And we are adding a category we haven't had before, $200 for conditional use permit amendment. So if you apply for a conditional use permit, you get it, you pay $300. But later on, if you say, well, I've decided I don't want to do the things I was told to do, I'm going to change the parking and landscaping and all these things, I want to go back to the Plan Commission, we would charge $200 for that to go through the process again of processing that application. The other one under planning services would be toward the bottom of that category, middle of the page, zoning verification letter. This has been $25 for a long, long time, many years. When someone comes to us and they need verification of the zoning of a particular property, every city around us is charging more than that. And it seems reasonable based upon the cost of the individuals, the employees' time. So we're recommending raising that from $25 to $40. Next up is engineering. There's a lot of red ink on those engineering pages, but a lot of it is just numbering, and that really isn't changing anything. The only items to note would be under stormwater permits at the top of it's page 5 of 9, where it shows $100 per site for non-residential and industrial greater than 1 acre. We would look to increase that to $125. Then farther down, you see the elimination of a particular fee, and then you see electric vehicle charging for electric vehicles for different places where we have EV charging stations. Those are not new fees. If you flip to the next page, you'll see the same ones being eliminated under GIS. What we're doing is moving these from GIS into engineering, which makes more sense for where they really belong. In GIS, there are a couple changes. First of all, under planimetrics, for custom data sets, we would be establishing a charge of $65 an hour. And then on the next page at the top of page 6 of 9, inkjet plotting, we'd be assigning charges from $3 to $12 for 4 different, actually $1.25 a square foot for one of them. 4 charges for providing inkjet plotting for citizens. Nothing new in street division. And then I would go to fire department. At this time, I'm going to ask Chief Miller to step forward. There are several changes being proposed for fire department fees.
All right, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present the changes for the fire department. I've got a few changes. I'm going to go right down the line on those just to make sure that we cover everything. When you look at the false alarms, we're not looking at any kind of change. That's working well for us, so we don't see any need to change anything there. When it comes to the fire inspections, we are requesting an increase in the fee at the 5th re-inspection, which is subsequent increments rising by $200 for each offense. Once we get to that point, it really comes down to someone really isn't looking to actually fix this. Now we're to the point where we're actually looking to build our case and take this into the court system. So there, we feel that there's extra time and effort that's put into that, documenting with pictures, taking care of all the additional information that needs to be put together for that. And in that point, we figured that at the 5th re-inspection, it'd be $500, 6th re-inspection, $700, 7th re-inspection, $900, and again, it just continues to go up $200 until we get to the point where we take that to court. We feel that that would take care of the situation and really help us to administer the actual fee overall. Other fire service fees, we got some categories that have some changes in them. For structure fire, we're not looking for any kind of change. Vehicle extrication, no change. Motor vehicle accidents, no change. EV vehicle fires, no change. When we get over to passenger vehicle fires, we've actually asked for an additional $50 be added to that. So it'd be moving from $750 to $800. The reason being, we'd like to reflect the additional time and resources needed due to increased fire hazard from modern vehicle materials. When you look at the vehicles and how fast they burn, there's a lot of materials that are inside of there. In addition to that, there's a lot of time for cleanup and things like that to come in afterwards. So we're asking for some additional parts. Some of the challenges we find in those cases are often fire hydrants connections and enhanced suppression efforts. Due to the size of the fire and how fast it's burning, you do have to connect to the different parts. It's not just utilizing engine water anymore. We got 1,000 gallons on our first engine. Now we have to hook a hydrant, and it's additional water that comes out of that part of it. So I believe that would cover all the engine costs. The other thing that we are seeing too is the increase in apparatus. Back in 2004, we bought a fire apparatus for $450,000. Now we're looking at $1.1 million in 2028. So a very large increase in expenses, and we feel that could help maybe give us something back in those areas. For commercial large vehicle fires, we actually are requesting a new fee for this one. The fact that we've got larger vehicles out there, they take a lot more of our time, effort, and the ability to pretty much use most of our resources in those areas. So we feel that that's something that's going to be there that's going to help us. This also, again, addresses the rising apparatus costs, manpower, and equipment that it takes to take care of these situations. We're putting that one at $1,000 for the cost. Hazmat spills, really no change in the actual fee structure on that one. We're actually changing that for a language change in that particular category. The reason for that language change is when we get into hazmat spills, it's very specific. HazWhopper spill or HazWhopper, who actually justifies whether we bill for those. We actually look at a small spill versus a large spill. Small spills are 55 gallons or smaller, and anything over 55 gallons or larger becomes a large spill. That all goes to the biller or to the spiller. Whoever spilled that contents, then everything would be accrued on that, and we give them an itemized bill for that. So we're just asking for that language change just to clear that up and more of a clarification or a clerical area. Dumpster waste fire, we're looking at $500. This is also a new fee that covers incidents like dumpster fires and burning trash from garbage trucks requiring suppression. Anytime you have a dumpster or anytime you have a trash or truck that has trash and carrying trash, if they get a fire inside that vehicle, they have to dump that vehicle, and then we have to sort through the trash to make sure we're getting that. That can be a time-consuming process. We feel that $500 would more than take care of that. Lithium ion, we're really seeing a big increase in lithium ion and how it's utilized in pretty much everything we do today. So we're asking for a $500 charge for that. This is a new fee that basically involves all e-bikes, scooters, tool batteries, and facilities with battery banks containing the fire before it spreads. This would cover the engine costs, manpower, equipment, and area surveying for the fire extension of that particular fire. So that would be the one. For CO extended operations, we're not looking at any kind of charge for that one, no additional charge. When it comes to fire permits, we found that there was a slight problem in that area. For the state of Wisconsin, for DSPS to get a permit, basically if you've got 20 appliances or more that are touched, then a permit is required. What we're requesting is basically a small fee or small charge to make sure that we're covering the 0 to 19 appliances when they have small changes in the building. That allows us to document it in the Evolve software package. That way we can go back and reflect on that over the years. So if we see there's something that's changed in that building, we can go back and look at that change and make sure that it was adequate. Right now, we don't have a way to collect that, and they really don't have to contact us. So this allows us to go out and make sure the compliance testing is right, and that we're doing everything that we need to make sure that test is coming together. So overall, that was it. That pretty much concluded. I guess I'd go down a little bit further, I'm sorry. Tents, no changes that were requested. Fireworks, no changes requested. Bonfire, no changes requested. And overall, that would really conclude the presentation on the fee schedule for the fire department. The associated fees discussed this evening have been reviewed and approved by the Fire and Police Commission under motion FP 25-083. With that said, I'd be happy to answer any questions this committee may have.
Mike?
Thank you. Just a couple items. Your, what is it, false calls or whatever you call
False
them?
alarms?
Or false alarms. Are every one of them charged, or is it a discretionary thing? How is that handled?
It can be discretionary. So if one of our incident commanders goes to a call and they get there and they find out it's something that, someone either pulled it or there was some issue where we just don't feel that it was the occupant's responsibility or fault, we can waive that fee.
Okay.
So we have the ability to do that unilaterally. We have that ability. In some cases, the first one is going to go with no charge. And once we get to that second alarm, then there would be a charge. But again, if we get there and we find out it's something that's in the system that we knew about or that they were unaware of, we can also waive that fee as long as they're getting it repaired. So we can give them kind of a reset in that overall system.
I'm kind of guilty of being a scanner junkie, and I hear a lot of them. That's just what drove that question.
Sure.
And the other item is when you talk about large vehicle fires, are we defining what that is in any way?
I believe we would say, when you talk small vehicles, that's like a passenger vehicle. When we define it, we would say a commercial vehicle, semi-truck, semi-trailer, bus, any of the larger vehicles that would be there. That would be how we would define it, but we can certainly look at defining it.
Yeah, I think just having something in there may defend you down the road, just adding some simple concept to it, but overall I support it, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Rebecca?
Yes, Chief, I just have a question. I do notice that you have, where did it go? You have a permit fee for fireworks display, but up on the list under other fire services, you don't have a charge for a firework. If you were that you called because of fireworks, a fire because of fireworks. Geez, that's a lot of the word fire in one sentence. Would that be something that you would consider, or do you even get many calls on that?
We do so for fireworks, so you're talking like if someone were to light a firework off at home and something would go wrong, that we would get basically go out for that type of firework going off? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, like, or they're shooting them off and they catch their barn on fire, or, something like that.
We do handle that under the municipal code. The municipal code allows us to go ahead and respond if we find that someone's not operating correctly or they're operating outside of what the firework permit would allow, meaning this firework permit is actually for large displays. So when we think of the fairgrounds, when we do the fireworks once a year, that's what that's meant for. Or when Hairball comes in and they're doing some type of firework thing, that's what that one pertains to. The other one that we have, and it allows the police department, so it's a little bit more unilateral, so we don't get out to every one of those, but if the police department were to see someone shooting a firework off and they're not supposed to, we have the ability to actually cite them for that under the municipal code. So that part would be taken care of.
Yeah, I kind of knew what it was. I mean, I knew what your permit was for, but it just kind of triggered something in my head to say, what are you called out to many inadvertent firework fires caused by fireworks, or no?
Not too many on an annual basis. It's nothing that we've actually had an opportunity to really look at where we saw that there was a larger problem. We've always been able to kind of handle it utilizing just the municipal code the way it's written right now. In the event that we would see something increase in the future, we could certainly look at that. I know when you look at the use of a firework and by state statute, it literally says anything that lifts off the ground is illegal. So you can have smoke bombs, you can have anything that's not going to lift off the ground, like fountain sprinklers, things like that. But the minute that it lifts off from the ground and it becomes airborne, it's actually illegal to shoot off in the state of Wisconsin. So a lot of we worked very closely with the city clerk to make sure that we're watching that permitting process to ensure that we're not getting the wrong type of vendors inside the city limits. They do get
right
outside the city limits for some of those.
Right. So I guess what I was looking for is like, I feel like when people are irresponsible with fireworks, and I'm not talking, I mean, maybe I am talking about even, large scale displays of fireworks. Like they're just, we get called out, we have to take care of the problem, but there's no other fire service fee attached to that. And I would kind of sort of think the same thing along like brush fires. If somebody's burning on a do not burn day, is there any extra charges or, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But maybe that's just not something we can do.
It's certainly something we can look at for next year. If you'd like me to, I can look into it a little bit further and see what we can find on that.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like the extra fees can serve as a deterrent or, to people who chronically do these kind of things and cause problems. But I'll leave that up to you. It was just a thought that came in my head.
No, I appreciate that thought, and we'll definitely look into that and see if it's something we want to add to the fee structure. I can reach back out to you if you'd like.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve council resolution number 2025-39. Although, any further discussion?
Can I jump in for a second?
Yep.
We actually had a couple after the fire chief to go through really quickly.
Okay.
So thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And they are under the city clerk area. And on page 9 of 9, just a couple, one on food trucks. Currently, we charge $25 for food trucks. The proposal is to increase that. There's a lot of work that has to be done in tracking and monitoring, working in concert with the fire department on some of the issues that come up. Looking to increase that to $25 for the first half of the year, January 1st to the end of June, and then $25 for the second half of the year as well, from July 1st to December 31st, and then starting with 1/1/27, just make it $100 per year. The other charge we look to increase would be under other licenses and permits, increasing the license for payday lenders from $50 to $200. And if there's any questions on that, I'm sure you could ask Jessica. I know it seems like a big increase, but other than that, there are no other changes in this document that we would ask you to approve under resolution 2024-20, or 2025-39.
The recommended action is for council approval. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving resolution number 2025-39, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes.
Thank you.
Item number 8, request to recommend council approval of resolution number 2025-40, continuing appropriations, presented by Jennifer Zelensky, Finance Director.
All right, each year we go through the process of continuing appropriations. It's a two-step process for us, and we do this in order to comply with a GASB statement number 54, which deals with how we classify our fund balance in our financial statements. If you'll recall, we have the classifications of non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. Tonight, we're talking about that committed portion, which is an action of this body and Common Council in order to formally use that classification in our financials. Basically, city staff has requested that appropriations for specific items be carried over to be completed next year. Either these are required by state statute or they're multi-level projects and or individual requests. When appropriate, the respective committees or boards have approved these items, and then this resolution will summarize items and estimated amounts requested to be carried over and classified as committed fund balance. These items in the general fund, I'll be back for step 2 later in 2026 to actually formally put those into the budget at that time. Additionally, there are a number of projects that will be in process as of the end of the year and will need to be included in the 2026 budget resolutions, and those are listed in Exhibit B. We don't need to take any action to commit those monies because that fund balance resides in either special revenue funds or capital project funds, and they are committed or restricted by the nature of the fund. So no action is needed to do that. Exhibit A is estimating the amounts for continuing appropriations. The first will be for information technology for software implementations that are in process. That'll be $36,257. The second will be for our post-employment health plan, and those individuals still left on that plan, estimated to be about $155,250. So with that, I would recommend approval of Resolution 2025-40, approving the general fund committed fund balance, estimated to be $191,507 for continuing appropriations.
Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Motion by O'Reilly, second by Varsho. Any further discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item number 9, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statutes, chapter 19.85(1)(e), deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Memorandum of the agreement with Marathon County. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Move to go into closed session.
Second.
Varsho,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Spiros,
Yes.
Giles,
Yes.
O'Reilly.
Yes.
Motion passes. Are there any motions for actions taken in closed sessions?
Yes, I would make a motion to direct the city clerk to work with our attorney to start negotiating a resolution before any memorandum is signed.
Do you have a second?
Yes, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor,
Aye.
say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Any items for future agendas? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor of adjourning? Aye.
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 Aye. Motion, or committee adjourned.